Hey, just a reminder, you guys can get in my online fishing tournament. And you guys can win fishing trips with me. We're giving away tackle off the website, shopblat.com, as well as we're going to have a championship. So this is like a real legit competition, just like what I fish on the pro circuit. You guys will qualify. The top 40 in every tournament will qualify for the championship this fall. There's no entry fee for this tournament, so this is for you guys if you like to fish out of kayak, if you like to fish off a bank, if you like to fish wherever, ponds, rivers, lakes, wherever there's bass at, you can compete in this tournament. You don't have to have a boat, or you can have a boat. It doesn't really matter. You can fish in this tournament. It doesn't cost you a dime. All you have to do is go to my website, shopblat.com. If you're making a purchase or you're buying tackle this month, you're automatically in the tournament. All you have to do is register. So I guess it's not really automatic. When you make your purchase on the website, you go and you register on the Fishing Chaos app. All the instructions are on my website. So after you watch this video, go register. I mean, like, why not? You were gonna buy the tackle anyway. Get in the online tournament and win more tackle. I'm pretty, ooh, that was a dead rat. Oh God, that was gross. Okay, so this month, guess what's actually going down? Favorite is actually sponsoring this month's tournament. So we're actually giving away Favorite fishing rods. My signature series rods is going to be some of the gifts and prizes that we're going to give, in addition to what we're already giving you guys in last month's tournament. You're also going to be able to win Favorite fishing gear, their hats, their shirts, the reels that they have at Favorite Fishing. So Favorite is dumping in a whole lot of other goodies for you guys that are competing in this tournament. And you can only get, all you got to do is go to my website and just make like a $2 purchase and you can be in the tournament. Or if you're already buying tackle. So here's my signature series, one of my signature series rods. This is a 7'2" graphite composite rod, and it does come with a rod sock. But you guys have seen me talk about this rod a lot. This is what I use for cranking and throwing like a big square bill. 7'2", medium heavy power. I got a bait keeper on here. It's just a really good, affordable rod. I think it's $129. I mean, dude, you can't beat that. $129 graphite composite rod. So I've got 2 graphite composite rods, and I also have my own personal signature series spinning rod too. And you'll be able to win all 3 of those rods in this month's tournament. Hey, real quick, I wanted to give you guys a little video today about line size. How do you know if your line is too big, too small, you know, everything in between? I really got to thinking about it. Somebody asked me on my video one day why I was like, hey, use 10-pound test line or use 12-pound test line, whatever I said to use. And they were like, well, that seems too small. Why do you use that line size? And I remember not really having an answer for why it was too small. So what I'm going to do is the best I can do to answer, to kind of tell you how to know if your line size is too small. And then maybe we should do a video about how to know if your line size is too big, maybe. But to try to give you the help some guide. In all actuality, the only way you can know if your line is too big or too small is you kind of go out with it and you learn through experience. Like, hey, this is too small, I'm breaking off a lot. Or hey, this is really too big, I can't cast it anywhere. You know, really the best way is to learn through experience. But I'm gonna give you how I know if my line is too small when I'm choosing my line size for different baits and lures. Oh, actually I wrote it on the back. I just know what size I want to use, so I really had to think about all this stuff. Because for me, it's kind of like second nature. When I want to throw something, I look at the structure I'm fishing and I just fish whatever I want to fish. I don't even really think about it. Wow, that's really close. First thing on my list, how to know if your line size is too small. The first thing I got here. This is like a really obvious one, but I was surprised. Even when I was running my guide company, I realized that people didn't really pay that much attention to this. Breaking off. One sign that your line size might be too small is if you're breaking off a bunch. Now, breaking off can mean a whole bunch of different things. Obviously, if you're flipping in a piece of structure or you're fishing your bait in some type of grass or trees or laydowns, and you just feel like you can't cast your bait into the structure really good because you're scared you're gonna hang up and then break off, your line size is probably too small. You wanna be able to have confidence to put your bait right in the middle of everything without breaking off. So if you find yourself like trying to cast a round structure so you don't get hung up and break off, probably your line is just too small. Because when you've got the right line size, the right rod, the right reel, and you're really confident in your casting ability, you'll put your bait in just stupid, ridiculous places and not really care because you know that you're gonna get it back. The thing about break-offs, your line size is too small if you just go to make a real long cast and your bait just keeps just singing, probably a good chance your line size is too small. Because a lot of times, especially with a heavy lure, if you throw a little line with a heavy lure, like let's just say a deep diving crankbait, and you go to throw rear back and sing that baby across that ledge and your line breaks on the cast, most likely you need to upsize your line size, okay? So I'm not actually gonna give you any pound tests for certain baits because it does not work that way. You choose your line choice according to what you're fishing, the structure you're fishing. Bait does have something to do with it a little bit, but not as much as where am I putting the bait? Has a lot more to do with it than the bait itself. I'm not really going to give you a bunch of ideas of like, hey, throw a drop shot, throw this pound test, and crankbait, throw this pound test. But just to give you an idea, this is my spinning rod that I use for saltwater fishing, bass fishing, pond fishing, a whole bunch of stuff. This is 15-pound test diamond braid 8-strand line. That's what I use on almost every one of my spinning reels. It doesn't matter if I'm fishing saltwater, if I'm fishing bass, ponds, whatever the case may be. My braid to fluorocarbon setup is diamond 15-pound test to diamond. It can be 6-pound test, 8-pound test, 15-pound test, as much as 20-pound test, diamond fluorocarbon line. And I just choose those line sizes just depending on how much I'm breaking off or what I'm fishing or how big the fish are that I'm catching that day. Obviously, if we're going brim fishing, I'm probably not going to put 6-pound tests on there. If I'm going to the pond, I might use a little bit bigger line. Just depends on what we're doing with the bait that day. This is one of my bait casters right here. I can use this setup for a bunch of different things, but right now I've got 15-pound test diamond presentation fluorocarbon on it. Now this is a pretty strong line, so I feel comfortable throwing a spinnerbait on this, and plus it's just a small 3/8 ounce spinnerbait. But if I was throwing like a 3/4, I wouldn't throw this 15-pound test diamond. I probably would use like 20-pound test diamond fluorocarbon on it. Recently, I've been using diamond fluorocarbon. That has been my braid and fluorocarbon for all my setups has been diamond. Been pretty pleased with it as well. You also need to think about when you get a lot of backlash. If you're trying to throw into the wind, and you notice that every time you go to make a cast, literally every time, you're starting to get a lot of backlash, or you're being kind of tender with the way that you cast your baits around, your line might be too fast, or too small, I'm sorry. So what happens is a smaller diameter line has less friction, so when you go to make a cast, it's going to come off of that spool a lot faster. You ever notice how fast braid comes off the spool versus a fluorocarbon and mono? Well, the same thing happens with your fluorocarbon. If you're using 10-pound test versus 15-pound test, that 10-pound test is going to come off the reel a lot faster. It's going to be a little bit harder to control, and in some situations I really want to double down on sometimes. Sometimes that means that you're going to backlash. Most of the time, what's that saying? They say most of the time it's the Indian and not the arrow. A lot of times it's just you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing with your rod and reel and you're just backlashing. But if you notice that over and over and over throughout the course of the day, you're getting a lot more backlash than you usually get with the same exact setup that you usually have very consistent cast with, most likely you probably have too small a line. And if you just upsize your line, wow. And let me get it back out. Sorry, my finger hit the zoom button. And if you just upsize your line a little bit, you'll fix that situation. Your line size is just too small. If you feel some type of way about crossing his eyes when you set the hook, or if you need to cross his eyes when you set the hook, but you find yourself just like not really wanting to put everything you got into it to set the hook, most likely your line size is too small. Especially if you're doing like close quarters fishing, flipping and pitching around docks and stuff like that, and you find yourself just having a little bit, not that confident in really setting the hook. You're thinking about breaking the line when you set the hook up, put on some bigger line. Go from 15 to 20, go from 15 to 17, go from 10 to 14, 10 to 15. That's what you need to do if your line size is too small. All right, so here's another reason that your line size might be a little bit too small. If you're fishing, let's say a drop shot, or you're fishing a shaky head, Texas rig, and you're getting a lot of line twist, you notice that your line is raveling up a lot of it and it's getting kind of hard, you're getting a lot of backlashes, most likely your line size is too small. So the small diameter lines tend to twist a lot more than the bigger diameter lines. The bigger diameter is going to be a lot stiffer, so it's just harder to make that line twist. A small 6, 8, 10 pound test, even sometimes you can get a lot of line twist in it because the line is so limp and so nimble that with certain baits that are just notorious for twisting your line up a lot, a drop shot would be one, sometimes a shaky head depending on how it's rigged. Texas rig can be one with certain plastics. It'll twist up a lot on the retrieve and you'll get a lot of line twist, which makes you get backlash and it wraps around the tips and it's really aggravating. So just upsize your line a little bit. Go from 10 to 15 or go from 6 to 8 and you'll have a lot fewer line twists. This is another way to know that your line size is probably too small. Your bait files up a lot. What I mean by files up, a lot of times your bait, the line will wrap around the hooks, especially on a topwater lure. Lipless crankbaits are really bad about this. At times, that front hook will get caught in your fishing line. What that is again, a lot of times your smaller line is more supple, it's more limp, it's more flexible. So when you go to make a cast, a lot of times that line is backing up into your hooks and following up the bait, and it's aggravating. You go to make a cast and your line is all in your hooks and stuff, and you say a lot of intense, colorful language. So a fix for that is just to upsize your line just a little bit. Upsize your line size a little bit, and you'll notice that you won't have those problems nearly as bad as you will with a smaller diameter line or smaller pound test line.